Well, plot to kill. This is really an easy story to remember. But it's easier if you'll take the story and really break it down. You'll find that it's actually made up of 5, possibly 6 stories according to how you want to divide it. And each one of these 5 or 6 stories really is quite easy to remember. The problem with the story is only to remember how one story flows into the next one and into the next one to make up the whole story. So this storyboard is going to be mainly to help you to connect the various parts so you can remember the whole. Now, I'm going to quickly go through the 5 or 6 parts, and then we'll go back and we'll put hand gestures with it. First of all, you have the high priest slapping Paul, or having him slapped. Secondly, you have the 2 groups that start fighting one another. Third, you have the Lord encouraging Paul. Then you have the 40 men who take a vow to kill him. The 5th and 6th is the young man who hears, the nephew who hears, and finally the commander who has 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, 200 men with spears, and sending Paul away. Now, with that in mind, let's go back now, and I'm going to give you about 2, possibly 3 hand gestures for each one. I'll go through the whole thing quickly, and then we'll go back and do it together. Paul says, I have a clear conscience with God. He gets slapped. He sees the 2 groups. I'm a Pharisee. The 2 groups fight. The Lord encourages Paul. 40 men make a vow. The nephew hears the vow and tells Paul. The commander, 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, 200 men with spears. Okay, that's how it goes. Now let's go back and let me help you to remember that. It starts with Paul saying, I have a clear conscience. Put your hand up there, a clear conscience. Now, you're going to slap that hand. It's like you're being slapped in the face, but I encourage you to miss the face and just slap the hand, okay? So slap being slapped. Now what you're doing, you're pushing this hand out, and then you have the 2 groups. Okay, so clear conscience, 2 groups. Paul says, I'm a Pharisee. This starts an argument. Now your hands just go out. The Lord encourages Paul. 40 men. Well, actually, you have the Lord encourages Paul, and he says, and you bring this hand up, you'll be my spokesman. Then the other one makes a 4, which represents the 40 men. And then you put your hand over your ear. The nephew hears the plot and goes and tells Paul. And then finally you have the 200 soldiers, the 70 horsemen, and the 200 men with spears. Okay, that's how it goes. Go through that, back the film up several times, go through that whole thing until you have it down. Now, I want to encourage you with this particular story to get a piece of paper and a pencil and to draw little, I would say, icons for each of the 5 or 6 stories. Make sure that somehow the one icon, the first icon, reminds you of the second. It kind of flows into the second one. Second one flows into the third, and all the way through. With that, you'll have a visual picture of the whole story. So between these hand gestures and those icons, this should really be an easy story for you to remember. Remember, Stumble through the story. Once you get done going through this exercise, do not hesitate. Tell it to someone, even if you have to tell it poorly. Then you tell it a second time, and it'll be a whole lot better. Well, the Lord bless you as you continue on learning stories from the book of Acts.